there and welcome. My name is Brittany and today we are doing our Q1 update. Okay, let me rephrase this. This is our first homeschool update. It's been roughly like 8 weeks. I had every intention of doing these homeschool updates every 6 weeks as we took our breaks, but then things went a little haywire, a little crazy. As you probably could tell if you've been following me, I have not been posting very many videos. I got behind, and so this is just our first homeschool update. Basically everything that's happened for the first 8 weeks of school, where we're at, what we're changing, what we're loving, what we're hating. If you are new around here, I have 4 children. Briefly, during this beginning of our school year, actually took on an additional child, so I had 5 children in my home, essentially homeschooling and trying to get her caught up to a grade level so she could enter into the public school system. That went okay, but not as great as I would have hoped, and she is back home now. She did get fairly well caught up, enough to where they could probably put her into school if that's what they choose to do, or they could continue to homeschool her at her grade level. Doing that took a lot of my time, way more than I had originally anticipated, and it actually caused me to fall behind in some of the areas and some of my goals that I had for my kids, which is actually why I decided to stop tutoring her earlier than anticipated. Now that we have had one full week where it's just been me with my kids again, I feel like we are slowly getting back on track. And I'm feeling really confident going forward in our goals and everything. And also hopefully in my posting schedule with my YouTube. Okay, so let's get into the curriculum. So I'm going to start with the things that we are loving. So with my oldest, he is in 9th grade. We are doing logic for master books and we are loving it. He is learning quite a bit and I really do enjoy it. It's a good introduction to logic. We are still loving Matthew C. One of the areas that I am needing to kind of drill down in is making sure I am sitting with him more. For some reason, I got it in my head that because he's in 9th grade, he was fully independent and didn't need me to really sit with him as much anymore, but he really does benefit for the most part with me sitting with him and maybe not necessarily during his school time, but reviewing things with him and going through it and kind of just reinforcing whenever he has learned something, so that way it sticks a little bit better. And so Matthew C is definitely still a win in my book. It's just, it requires more of me than I thought that it would at this stage, but that's okay. And so I'm willing to adapt in order to continue to make it work. So master books biology. I don't hate it. I wouldn't say I am overwhelmingly in love with it. I would not probably purchase it again. I am looking into something else. Next year, he is going to be moving into an actual class for chemistry, because I do think for chemistry that he needs to be doing actual labs, like in a classroom. And so there is a homeschool class he can take that is local to us that he's going to do next year to do chemistry. But if he were not, I probably would not be going with master books again next year. It's fine for biology because he doesn't like biology anyway, but it's not going to be a repeat, and I am looking into other options for when my other kids get into biology. EIW and Fix-It Grammar are still great, and we are still loving them so far. I am actually behind on submitting the stuff into the portal for grading, so I can't actually speak to the grading service as of yet. I just know that as far as his writing, he is still improving and he is still enjoying it, so that's going well. And now master books history. I would say this year was the final nail in the coffin for me with master books history and just master books in general. I'm going to do a whole video on why I'm ditching master books altogether later on, but as for now, master books history for high school is pretty awful in my opinion. There are things that are incorrect and grouping of people groups that are not accurate, and that kind of threw me. And then just, it was very quick. It just skimmed over a lot of stuff, and I'm like, whoa. There's so much more to it. And I'm a history lover. I love history, and so it made me just, I didn't like it. And so what he's doing instead, we completely ditched that one. I tried to like use it as a spine and maybe add and bulk it up, but there were some things that just, it glazed over a lot of things that I felt were more important that we drilled into, and the way that it worded things I didn't really appreciate, and so it wasn't a win for me. So we ditched that one altogether, and this is one of my books. It's A Patriot's History of the United States. He is actually listening to this on audio, and I am reading it, and we are discussing it. I am also sending him YouTube videos for him to watch, and documentaries that we are watching together. We are watching The Story of Us on Prime Video, and also just like beefing it up that way. He's doing a lot of readers that are time period appropriate, and we are building out his own history curriculum based off of this book, which I am so far loving. So that is what he is doing for American history, and we'll probably do something similar next year for world history. So my second grader, I am just head over heels in love with CLE math. I mean, I knew I loved it last year, and so it's no surprise I still love it this year. I even tried to pare it down a little bit because I thought maybe it's just a little bit of overkill, and actually I don't think it is. I think for what we did in first grade, it might be a little bit much, especially I had a kid who did not enjoy a lot of the strength building activities that preschoolers and kindergartners do to build their hand and their fine motor skills. He didn't really enjoy those, and he didn't like coloring, and he didn't like doing any of that, and so his hand wasn't very strong, and so when it came to writing, it was way too much writing, and so there was a lot of stuff in first grade I had to take off. But now that he's in second grade and we've laid that really good strong foundation, he is flying through it. So even though there's a lot of problems and there's a lot, there's 4 sheets of work, he goes through it so fast, and it does not take that long. So still loving CLE, still planning on sticking with it. Okay, so this is future Brittany. I am editing out a little piece about the language arts for my second grader, because I had been kind of going back and forth on what I was going to do, and I thought that I was going to go one direction and decided to go a different direction. So if you watched my curriculum video, you will know that we had originally planned on doing first language lessons and writing with ease for my second grader. And while I didn't dislike first language lessons, it wasn't my favorite. It didn't feel like enough, and I also didn't like writing with ease at all. I had originally completely taken writing with ease out and was trying to add in some other stuff, and it just felt like I was trying to change it too much to make it work. And I knew in third grade that we were going to go back to something, and I talked to my husband and decided that we were just going to go ahead and make the switch. And so I don't actually have the curriculum with me yet, but I have the actual book. Well, I have the one from last year. And so we are going back to CLE language arts for him, because it was just such a better fit for what we need. Okay, so I'm sure the question is going to be, if you liked CLE last year, why did you change? So with my second grader, he had struggled with reading initially through kindergarten through first grade. He had some issues with his eyes and bringing his eyes together in order to read, and he also needed glasses. And so last year we got his glasses, but he was still behind on his reading, and so I figured we would have to have a larger phonics focus, and so I wanted to do something that wasn't going to be super grammar intensive so he could really focus in on phonics. So my hope had been to try to push him through with all of that stuff, and then we would reconsider whether we would go back to CLE next year. But he has been picking up so quickly with his phonics, and he's really pretty much on grade level with reading now. And so I don't feel like we are needing to spend an entire year focused on phonics. I was very concerned that with CLE being a more rigorous program, that it's hard to jump into when you've been doing something else. So I wanted to go ahead and switch just to make it as seamless as possible. So what I have him doing, I did decide to pull the phonics pathways out for him as well, because I just wanted to reinforce these phonics. And second grade CLE also has a lot of phonics in it, so he will be getting phonics with that as well. I absolutely adore CLE for language arts and for math. I just think it's a really incredible program, and I really think going forward, it's just what we need as a family. It makes it to where he can do his stuff more independently. He's not sitting around waiting on me. If I'm working with one of his sisters or his older brother, he can go ahead and just go on into the next lesson, and then I can follow up with him to make sure he's understanding it. It really just works so much better for our time schedule, and actually for him as well. So that should be coming in at the end of this week. We are currently on our school break, and so he will be starting that back up on Monday. The good thing is that I went through the syllabus, and he already has learned everything up until the third light unit, and so I do feel like we can just jump straight into the third light unit without missing without having to restart all the way over. So now back into the video. History and science for my elementary kids. So we're doing Mystery of History with the elementary kids. My oldest is not sitting in because I've beefed up his workload on his history, and that's fine. But Mystery of History, I'm kind of still just meh about. I'm not head over heels in love with it. The pictures do make it better, but it's still a little dull, a little dry, but it'll work for this year. And I think once we go through the entirety of the book, we might decide if we feel like we should try something else next year. But for now, it's working well enough. They're learning. The kids seem to like it, so we may just keep it for elementary school age and just move on to something else as they get older. Science, it's Apologia. We still love it. I love Apologia's elementary series. It actually has been really funny because I thought that it was going to go way over their heads, but it's so much fun and interesting, and I try to incorporate videos and songs to go with it. And so they're actually learning quite a bit because we're doing Apologia's anatomy course for elementary school kids, and they're really liking it. So with my kindergartner, we are still doing CLE, and that is going well. Some of it does feel like a lot of busy work, but she still likes to do it. I don't force it. If she doesn't want to do that sheet, we'll just skip it. Because I do a lot of other things. I'll print off worksheets because she loves to do math worksheets, just, addition problems. And so I'll print those off for her occasionally that I find online, and I'll print off some more review on letter formation. And so she's getting a lot elsewhere. And so I'm really not super concerned if she doesn't do every single thing in the curriculum. I don't know if you can hear the squealing. They're happy squeals, I think. The handwriting curriculum that I got for her, I am not crazy about. The same thing, I forgot to mention that with my second grader. I'm not loving the Zahner Blosser handwriting. It's just not my favorite. And so I probably will be on the hunt for something new next year. I have yet to find a handwriting curriculum that I really like. It's hard. And so we have we'll pull it out every once in a while if she needs some extra stuff to do, but we don't really use it that much. For her reading, it was really funny because I got the Phonics Pathways book in and I tried it, and initially I didn't like it. So I had put this on the shelf originally, and I pulled out the reading lesson, which I used last year in combination with a couple of different things for my second grader, and I started her in this one, and she kind of stalled out a little bit. And something I've learned with teaching kids to read is that's very common. And so now I have taken a completely different approach, and we are actually using them together. Because I was like, I'm not going to use this one, but now I don't like this one. And I'm like, no, the thing is, I like them, but I like them together. And so what we're doing is we are in the beginning of the book where they are doing like letter blends, practicing the sounds and then blending the two letters together. And once she gets to the point that she was at in this one, we will switch back over in here and we will kind of do them side by side and kind of do one day on one and one day on the other and kind of align them together. Because I have yet to find a program that I actually like as one unit. Normally what ends up happening is they'll stall out in one, and we may end up doing that as well, like stick with phonics pathways, and when she stalls out here, jump over to the reading lesson, and then she stalls out there. And that's really how I approach a lot of things with reading, is just phonics is a lot of drilling and repeating, and it takes a lot of practice and a lot of repetition to get it. And that is our update on our first 8-ish weeks. It's not going terrible. It's not going as well as I had hoped. But I always come in with really high expectations, and then I kind of have to get knocked off my high horse a little bit until we're in a more realistic zone. And I feel like that's where we're at. It's really hard because I have ADHD, and over the summer I start to think that I can do all of these things and I make all these grand plans, and then I come into the school year and we're doing really great for 2 weeks, and then I realize I'm exhausted and I start burning out. And I did not plan for burnt out Brittany. I planned for high on the mountaintop, big plans Brittany, and I can't stay up here all the time. And so I need to plan for down here a little bit better. I hope this video was an encouragement, at least, that if you ended up having to make changes to your homeschool, that it's not that uncommon. And so I'm curious, if you are a homeschooler, how your homeschool year is going. Have you had to make any changes? Are you happy with the curriculum you chose? Is it working like you thought it would, or are you having to adapt? So make sure to leave it in the comments how your school year is going. If you want a full list of all of the curriculum that we are doing, I will leave that playlist up in here somewhere, so that way y'all can go over there and check out what we're doing for the whole school year. And until next time, bye.